Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This gentleman over here, his name is Tim, and we are Second Legacy, and I cannot wait to walk you through what we have today, and thank you so much for stopping by. Now, what we're going to talk about today is something that's high concern, because it turns out, according to CNN and some gun control groups out of Colorado, there was a certain ingredient missing in all the gun control pushes, and that's what we're going to talk about. Everything will be linked because it is that crazy. It's right down there to verify. But before we get into this, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn that notification bell on. We would love to have you in the fold with us to help the channel grow, and thank you for that consideration. But Tim, before we jump into the full-blown crazy, how are you doing today? You feeling crazy? You feeling good? Bad?
I'm feeling pretty good, pretty privileged.
Are you privileged today?
Apparently, yeah. So.
I mean, according to this article, that was the one thing missing. He gave away the secret ingredient, guys. We got to jump right into it.
I tried to be very, very slick in how I.
Oh yes.
Never mind. Go ahead.
Subtlety. That was dripping in subtlety, Tim. Thanks. All right.
I only gave it away because you knew where it was going. They didn't. But go ahead.
It's my fault. It's my fault. You're right. Well, you know what, Mr. Producer, let's just jump right into it. Number 6, please. Hundreds of white women gather at Colorado Capitol after plea from women of color to use their privilege to demand action on gun violence. All right, so Tim, before we dive into this, is this the missing ingredient? Was all the gun control pushes for naught if they had only had this one ingredient, this one pressure button that really would have pushed over the finish line? Is this it? Is this the one?
You know, as you like to say, you know, you can look at the anti-gunners and they'll always tell you when they're struggling or having problems or what they fear.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is, once again, a sign that they're wildly desperate.
Oh, they're stretching.
I'm sure they brought out their lucky rabbit's feet and everything else, and they decided to invoke white privilege to try to get their pushed through. But how did that work out for them? Did the white privilege come through?
It didn't yet, but the sit-in is still ongoing. There's high hopes. And we're about to find out, Tim, that their ask is so small and so meager. They were only going for a small request. But let's get into this to really show you what they're achieving now that they have the magic rocket fuel of white privilege. Mr. Producer, could you hit number 7, please? CNN. Hundreds of white women gathered at the Colorado Capitol Monday morning, with more expected to show up throughout the day to use their privilege in a silent sit-in to demand Governor Jared Polis ban guns and create a gun buyback program. Tim, with a goal so meager as that, what can we not accomplish? I mean, let's be honest. Small bar. Very low.
You know, again, this identity politics and all the lunacy that goes on, and it always comes from the same group of people, and the same group of people typically don't like guns. So watching this clown show play out, really, it's not surprising. It's just a sad state of affairs.
You know what? That's a very good way to say it. Very measured response, Tim. Very good. I enjoy that emotional control that you exerted right there.
I'm trying.
You know, you're doing great. But the thing that I find so fascinating, it's very difficult. The thing that I find so fascinating about this is even the Democratic governor, Jared Polis, this guy just signed 4 anti-gun legislations into law a couple of weeks ago. He comes out and goes, guys, can we tone it down a little bit? Because it's kind of unconstitutional. Don't believe me? Let's get some more quotes. Mr. Producer, could you throw up number 8, please? Here for the Kids, a movement created after the whole Nashville tragedy, calls for primarily white women to peacefully sit in until Polis, a Democrat, signs an executive order banning guns. It was founded by 2 women of color, Syra Rao, who is South Asian American, and Tina Strawn, who is black. Both are mothers. Strawn told CNN the movement calls for white women to be at the forefront of the sit-in because we know what happens when we show up with demands.
That doesn't sound racist.
Oh my God. So to infer from that, okay, there's 2 pieces. 1, an executive order to ban all guns. Tim, on a level of 1 to 10, how unconstitutional is that? 1 to 10.
It's like a 15 or 16, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, that's a 15 or 16 because we have an executive government, we have an executive branch of the government, which is not a tyrannical autocracy. There's a legislature.
Yeah.
You can't just be a dictator.
Don't rule by decree. Yeah.
But the people are actually requesting dictators. Like, legitimately, dictators.
Govern me harder, baby. I know.
That was weird. But
are these the same goons that want to disarm everybody, including the police?
Oh, we're getting to that quote.
Oh, okay.
We are getting.
I thought this was the same clown posse, but I wasn't sure.
Oh,
okay.
No, it is. It is. It's the same clown posse.
Okay.
But again, the second piece to that quote before we get to that, because you're kind of reading the tea leaves, man. You're stealing the thunder.
No, I don't have anything. My screen's dark.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
See,
but
look.
The other thing here is it implies, yeah, I got you. It implies that people who are not white have no power in the system, even though we literally have senators, vice presidents, chiefs of police, magistrates, former presidents. Like, it hurts. But let's continue. Let's just continue because, it hurts. So, Mr. Producer, number 9, because this clown show continues. Quote, these are the organizers. So it appealed to me very much that this was actually a time where we are asking black folks and their marginal and vulnerable communities to sit this one out and allow the white women and their privileged bodies, they're privileged, and their power to show up. It's time for them to show up, Strawn added. Could you imagine if this was reversed, bro? I mean, could you imagine if that same sentence was delivered in the reverse?
Well, that's the way all these things go. I mean, all you have to do is reverse what's being said, and you go, well, that's wildly racist. That's my point. It's insanity. It really is. But this, if you haven't seen the movie Idiocracy, please rent it. It's worth a watch because it's decades old, but it's so prophetic because what they're joking about is literally our reality today.
Is this? Yeah, 100%. And listen to the meager ask, Tim. This is just such a small bar. They're just little things. Mr. Producer, number 10. The executive order that Here for the Kids has proposed for Polis to sign calls for the governor to, quote, ban the use, loading, possession, or carrying of all firearms in Colorado, including, but not limited to, firearms for personal protection, hunting, law enforcement, or any other otherwise lawful purpose, and create a statewide buyback program. Now, before you start ripping that apart, listen to what the Democrat governor said. A spokesperson for Polis said the governor's staff has met with the organizers of the group and, quote, have expressed concerns that the requests being made are either unconstitutional or require legislative action. Are they unconstitutional, Tim? Are they onto something? Are the Democratic gun controllers in control being easy?
Yeah, it's not only wildly unconstitutional, but they're right. It does require legislative action to do things like that because we don't live in a dictatorship. Not yet. We're getting close.
It's still unconstitutional. Even if the legislature does do it, it's still unconstitutional.
It's still unconstitutional, right? But you don't have elected officials ruling by decree. You're not supposed to anyway. So the abuse of executive orders by all parties so far is nothing new, but it's something that needs to be curtailed. But what they're asking this governor to do is pretty funny, and it's so funny that they're making this outrageous request. So they want to ban hunting, law enforcement, private. Otherwise, what they deem to be legal uses of firearms, they want to make illegal. How's that played out in our cities?
Anywhere.
How's that played out when we've disarmed the people, we've disarmed law enforcement? What does that leave? If you're taking away everybody with a gun that can actually defend other people and themselves, what does that leave? Criminals with guns, because guess what criminals aren't going to do? Take part in some goofy buyback, and they're not going to give up their guns. So this is a continued recipe for disaster. They've learned nothing from the last 2 or 3 years where we're watching our cities fall into complete decay and lawlessness, all in a response to far left policies and anti-gun policies, just like what they're proposing.
But Tim, are you? I don't think you're fully understanding the approach here. I don't think you fully understand the juice of the privilege. The privilege would clearly encourage the criminals to turn in their guns. Obviously.
I hadn't considered that, yeah.
Did you see the sit-in? I mean,
just slap them with some white privilege, yeah.
Yeah, the secret ingredient. Buckets and buckets of it. It'll work. It'll absolutely work. Nothing bad will happen. It hurts. But
it beyond hurts. But this is I hate to resign myself to the fact that this is just where we are as a country, but I don't know how we've gotten here. It's just like the stupid is in the water or something, and it just keeps getting
that's fluoride.
worse.
That's fluoride. You're getting really close to some very, very serious conspiratorial talk. I'll have you know.
No, they're putting stupid in the water.
Is it liquid form or gas form? It's important. Don't worry.
It depends on how hot it is, but yeah.
That's true. That's good. That's good.
Basic chemistry. But anyway, so this is interesting. I trust this is going to go absolutely nowhere, as it should. It should just die on the vine, let them sit and have their little peaceful protest where they can stomp their feet, hold their hands, and sing Kumbaya. But I don't anticipate this going anywhere because this anti-gun governor apparently understands how the system works and doesn't want to operate outside of that system. And so he's even told them, we can't do it that way. But that probably won't dissuade them. They're going to sit there until they get hungry or tired or both, and then they finally find their way home.
Do you want to hear the actual quote, the actual governor quote?
Oh, that'd be great, yes.
We got it. Mr. Producer, to wrap this up, number 11. The governor takes the weighty responsibility of executive action and the trust Coloradans placed in him to govern responsibly and seriously, and will not issue an unconstitutional order that will be struck down in court simply to make a public relations statement. He will continue to focus on real solutions to help make Colorado one of the 10 safest states, the spokesman said in a statement to CNN. These individuals' calls to improve safety and prevent gun violence through their specific request for an executive order banning all guns would simply be unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, at least he gets it,
Again, I go back to an earlier point. If a Democrat who just signed infringing Second Amendment orders into law issues that statement, you may have gone too far, no matter what kind of rocket fuel you're using.
I mean, he literally said banning guns is unconstitutional.
Yep.
Thank you.
Can't do it. Thanks for the good talk.
I would argue that your infringements that you've signed into law are also unconstitutional, but we'll let the courts decide that. But at least he understands that there is a bridge too far, at least for one of these gun grabbers.
Yeah, but I mean, as we wrap this episode, the real important question is, Tim, I brought extra buckets of privilege. Where should I put it? Where should I store it? Does it have a shelf life?
Oh, no. It only gets stronger. Yeah.
It gets more potent.
You got to be careful. It can get out of control pretty quickly.
Oh, so it's like a Yucca Mountain situation. We got to store that safely.
Yeah. You have to bury it and let future generations worry about it. Yep.
It's like nuclear waste, huh?
Just like nuclear waste. All right, folks. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to be part of our call-in program, there's a link in the video description below. Follow that link, fill out the information. We'll contact you. We'll get you on the show. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you guys soon.